Welcome to Doors to Hope and Healing, an inside look at foster care and adoption needs in Connecticut. My name is Jacqueline Ford. I have had the honor of working for the department for close to 30 years, and although I may be familiar with many of the topics I bring to you, I have invited experts in those fields to help dispel the myths and misconceptions that often act as barriers. Join us as we open our doors to an inside look at the Department of Children and Families.
Kaelana, thank you so much for being on the set of Doors to Hope and Healing. And Penny, thank you for being here to support Kaelana. I'm sure that means a lot to you to have her here.
Yeah, thank you so much for having us on the show today.
Oh, you're welcome. It's my honor. So you don't remember me, but I remember you from when you would attend Channel 3 Kids Camp, Siblings Connection Camp.
Yeah.
And I remember going each year, and there was one year in particular that I remember you being with your siblings, because you're one of how many siblings?
I'm one of 11. I'm the oldest.
One of 11 kids, and I don't remember how many were there, but I remember after the variety show was over, you all were hugging each other and crying because it was the Thursday night and the camp ended on Friday. And I remember that vision had stayed, in my mind for so many years. And when I read your Spotlight on What's Right story, I said, I have to have Kaelana on our show to tell our viewers about, your struggles and your journey, because I know that your story will help someone. I know that you'll reach a youth who might be struggling out there, and seeing how far you've come and your resilience and your grace. And so it's just an honor to have you on the show. So thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me to tell my story.
You're welcome. You're welcome. So let's start with, the beginning of your real, the path to DCF. How old were you when you came into foster care? And tell us a little bit about that experience.
So I was 12 turning 13. So it'll be 10, almost 11 years this year, because I'm turning 23. So it's been a long time. I was never adopted. A lot of my siblings were into pretty good homes, some of them, kind of have a harder experience. It's been a wild ride, to say the least.
Yeah, I'm sure that it has. But you've used that experience to do something with that experience. And it's become, it's made you stronger and more resilient. So I know that when you were in elementary school, you were struggling to find your identity and to find your voice in expressing yourself once you did find your identity. Can you tell us about that experience and how the support was there, wasn't there for you?
Yeah, so when I was starting to discover my identity more, it was more towards like middle school. But when we were talking about sexual education in like the 5th and 6th grade, it's like they only taught heterosexual education. They never taught us like lesbian sexual education or gay sexual education, or like how to protect yourself in those instances. And I feel like the school system in a lot of ways fails the LGBTQI plus youth in this country by not discussing how to keep people safe. And you would think after like the AIDS, the whole thing with AIDS and stuff like that, and how big of an issue that was, that they would be, more open to discussing and more open to teaching youth how to protect themselves, because not teaching it doesn't stop them.
Very true. So, I think to your point of what you're sharing about that, sex education in I think it's middle school when that whole curriculum is introduced, just so that you don't feel like there's something wrong or different with you because it's not being mentioned, and having you question yourself and all that. Where did that lead you? Where did that bring you to when you finally discovered what your identity was?
Yeah, so I have changed labels multiple times because I was like, okay, well, if I identify as bisexual, my family might not be as mad. You know what I mean? Because that whole chance of me finding a guy or something like that. And I knew it was bullcrap. So I knew it was bullcrap, and I just dated guys to please my family. But then when I was like, I can't take this anymore because I'm not being my most authentic self, I was like, you know what? Screw what they think. I'm me. You know what I mean? And I've had really hard experiences, and I've been really resilient through a lot of experiences, and I need to get to a place where I'm comfortable with myself, you know, and like not everyone in the world is going to like you for being yourself, but it's important to still be yourself.
So how did you find the courage to tell your family?
So actually my mom, my biological mom, found out in a really, really bad way. So I missed the bus one day, and my mom took my phone away and went through my cell phone. At the time I had a girlfriend. And she was so angry, and I just remember the utter anger that my mom expressed when she found out, and she was just like, you can't do that, like it's wrong and all this crap. The first person I ever came out to was my brother Jimmy, and he actually oh my gosh, this story is hilarious. I told my brother I'm gay. This is my girlfriend at the time, right? My brother's like, cool, when you're done, can I have her? I was like, what a boy, something to say.
And how old was Jimmy at that time?
Jimmy was probably like, I'm 4 years older than him. He was probably like 9 or 10.
Okay.
He was like borderline 9 years old, and the kid looked at me and was like, she's pretty, can I have her when you're done? And I was just like, that is a boy thing to say.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, no, the first person I ever trusted to come out to was my brother. He kept it a secret for a very long time. I trusted him, and it's not me indoctrinating my brother into the LGBTQ community, because trust me, Jimmy is the straightest straight kid you'll ever meet in your entire life.
Yeah.
He's, you know, he's a hoot. That kid is a hoot. And you know, the way that my brother just accepted me, like no questions asked, just made jokes, you know what I mean? It really gave me the courage to come out to my other siblings. It really gave me the courage to come out to my friends. It really gave me a lot of courage. But it wasn't until the pandemic that I really came out in 2020. Wow. It took me until I was 20 years old to be finally comfortable with the label lesbian. You know, we're taught that like lesbian's a dirty word, and like you're not taught to like be like, oh, I'm a lesbian, and be comfortable and just content with that. But it wasn't until I was dating Penny and she was transitioning that I was comfortable even being like, wow, I am a lesbian, and you know, I do support my trans fiance, and this makes me happy. I'm happy, you know.
And what do you think was that defining moment for you? I mean, I know the pandemic, there were a lot of silver linings in COVID, as you know, devastating as it was for so many people, but it was a time to really think and self-reflect. Do you attribute the COVID time frame as to why you or where you found that courage?
Yeah, I really do. I think that I met my person during a pandemic, and I think that is insane. You know what I mean? Like, to think we were doing long distance and we were off in different colleges in different states, and like we're dating, and you know, she was male presenting at the time, and now she's come out, and I'm just like, because I had the mindset that if this doesn't work out, I'm never dating men again. And then she came out as trans, and I was like, yes, queen.
So you started to date before you transitioned?
Yes.
Okay. And did you think that you were dating a heterosexual boy? Or you knew?
I knew.
Okay.
I knew she was trans from like 2 months into a relationship confidently. It took her almost a year to come out as trans, but I knew it. I just was like, you know, and I kept repeating to her, no pressure or anything. I was like, you know, if you were gay or trans, you know, you could always come out to me and I'd still accept and love you regardless. And I kept telling her that, and then like, you know, we experimented with like clothing and makeup and those things, and she's like, I'm trans, and I'm like, I know.
Well, you gave her permission to feel safe to tell you that. Yeah, and I'm sure, Penny, you have a whole different story that I wish that we could get into, because it is important, because you're both brave and you're heroes for being able to sit here on this television show and talk about something that isn't accepted by a lot of people, and that we do have to change that and dispel those myths and misconceptions about you know, your sexual identity. So how did you two meet? How did you meet Penny?
So we have 2 times we've met, but we didn't know at the time that we met. So actually, my brother Dustin and I went to the Maritime Aquarium with a family friend, and my brother goes up to the stingray tank and he's like, why are the animals here? And she was working in the stingray tank at the time, and you know, I was like, Dustin, leave the employee alone, like, and stuff like that. And then it's just funny because, you know, during the pandemic, we met on a dating app actually called Bumble, and I sent her science pickup lines. That was my opening. My opening was science pickup lines, and she told me how awful they were. She was like, that was probably the worst line I've ever heard in my life. And so she started rating them 1 to 10 how bad they were, and that's what got our conversation started.
Wow. And you did, at what point did you realize that you had met at the Maritime?
I had a dream that night after talking to her on Bumble, and I was like, did you work at the Maritime Aquarium? Because like for some reason it was like, I'm just like, how did you know that? And I was like, wait a minute, I know you.
Wow.
And it was like manifested in my dream, and I was like, wait a second, like you've never mentioned this to me, and I just knew. And sometimes fate brings people together.
Yeah, I believe that. And in my previous show with the guest that you know very well, Chris Scott.
Love him.
We talked about, our steps are numbered and how different his life would have been if just certain things hadn't happened. And I believe that we're, where we're meant to be. And you're meant to be on this show and inspiring others to have that courage to speak out, whether it's about their sexual identity or it's about, abuse or neglect that they've experienced at home or in a foster care. Because sometimes we hide behind that because we don't know how other people are going to perceive that experience that we had. But like you said, it's all about how you perceive yourself, and how you feel about yourself is the only way that you're going to be able to be healthy.
Exactly. And I think that there's a big stigma, especially like in religious, foster parents, religious communities and stuff like that, that like being LGBTQIA is wrong and stuff like that. But a lot of people don't understand that, like, depending on the translation of the Bible, they say different things. And I think that I've had really bad foster homes. I've had really harsh foster experiences, and I've had, a good foster home, but they were very religious. So I didn't feel comfortable expressing my sexuality in that foster home because although I really do have a good connection with them and I still talk to them, I don't think they'll ever get to a point where they're going to accept the fact that I'm LGBTQIA+, that I identify as a queer person, that I am a lesbian. I don't think they're ever going to really fully grasp that, acceptance. So
how do you feel that you can work around that with that family, to have a relationship with them? Is it something that you just don't speak of?
They don't know.
Oh, they don't know.
They probably know from the article now. I never really came out to them. I don't really feel you need to come out either. I feel like depending on your experience, you don't have to come out. You know what I mean? It's like, do straight people come out? Do we have like a straight heterosexual day? No. Like, I don't feel like we have to come out. I mean, I feel like it's a personal choice. It's comfort. It's like, I don't feel like, if my adoptees, when we adopt children after we're married, if they are, LGBTQIA and they bring home a girlfriend, we don't have to discuss it. You don't need to label yourself. If you don't feel comfortable with a label, don't have a label. Don't conform.
And you don't have to seek permission. No. And I think that's so freeing when you realize that you don't need someone else to, have their permission to be who you are. And I'm sure that the people that are closest in your life and who love you dearly weren't surprised.
Yeah, actually, that's really funny you say that. My siblings, my brother looked at me, he's like, I knew you were a lesbian. You have dyed hair and piercings and tattoos, and you listen to My Chemical Romance. And he's like, of course you're gay. And I just looked at him and I couldn't stop laughing because I'm like, just honestly, this is, some of them were not surprised. Some of them are like, what? You've dated guys your whole life. What do you mean, And I'm like, yeah.
I am.
Can I erase it though?
Yeah.
Can I just turn back the clock a little bit?
Well, maybe that's a way that you knew, even, in a deeper level, that you are a lesbian and that you weren't attracted to men, and that's okay. And now you're engaged right now.
Yes.
Yes. Yeah. And how did that all happen?
I took her to Hawaii last year, and I proposed to her on native land because we have connections to Hawaii. I have some family that lives out there. And we actually proposed in this bar called Cuckoo Coconuts.
Oh, fun.
And it was a very cute tiki bar. There was a live performance, and they announced it on the live performance. She was so surprised. She had no idea.
You were surprised?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I had no idea.
And you said yes, obviously said yes.
I did the tradition, though, of asking her parents prior, because I was like, well, I'm the one proposing, so I'm going to go talk to her parents about it. And I'm like, can I propose to your daughter? And they're like, what? And I'm like, yeah. And they're like, as long as it's a pretty long engagement, because you guys got to get through grad school. And I'm like, yeah, no, definitely.
And they support your relationship. Penny's family supports
Yes.
your relationship.
Yeah.
They've taken me in because, like a lot of kids who aren't adopted, they don't have stable places to go after college. They don't have stable places to go in between breaks. And like her family took me in after I graduated. My best friend's family has taken me in every single break, every single summer, the past 4 years, post-car accident. I had a really bad car accident in 2018 and I didn't have much familial support. My parents don't even live in Connecticut. And I really had nowhere to go and no one to go to. And my best friend's mom, Julian Coelho, took a huge step in helping me and trying to get me to where I am. And I owe a lot to her and that family because, if I hadn't met Ashley and Kira and Tom and that family, I don't know where I'd be now because they supported me through my entire car accident. My grandma took me in for the summers. I've had a lot of support in a lot of senses. And Sun Scholars helped me through my gallbladder rupturing last year. Chris Scott and Yamaya Gibson from Sun Scholars, I owe a lot to. And he was just on the show. And, he's a wonderful man. If you, out of a lot of people I've met at DCF, there's a few I would highlight. And Dora from KFAF, definitely really love her. She's a wonderful person. Olivia Dudley from Waterbury Youth Services, my DCF worker Ryan Shove. I've had really great connections, and I've even called DCF offices to just say hi to old workers and just have that connection because I've had really positive and really negative experiences, but I take the good with the bad. I stay positive no matter what is thrown at my life. So
and that's a wonderful way to live your life. I know I've been with DCF for, like I shared with you offset, for over 30 years, and when I hear from a client, a child that I had on a caseload, and I'm still in touch with several of them, it means more than I think that you even realize. I think that we're always wondering, how was that, child that we were so close to and spent so much time with, and we know your story. So when you do take that time to reach out or touch base and say hello, it means so much. So I'm so glad that you've done that. So let's talk about school. I think that you're smarty pants and you went to college and you did well, but that journey to college was not easy for you at all. Tell us about that.
So my freshman year of college at Western Connecticut State University, I was hit by a drunk driver at 60 miles per hour as a pedestrian. I was walking across the street to go back to my dorm after studying at the diner across the street. And it changed my whole life. I'm lucky I can walk. I had paralyzation. I have a traumatic brain injury that I suffered from that accident. I have a disability called dyscalculia now that is a development from a head injury. I've had a lot of challenges. I made the dean's list that semester, though. You bet yourself I did. I studied in that hospital and returned in all my work in that hospital.
Wow, good for you.
Yeah.
You are such an inspiration.
It was really hard. I won't downplay it. I still have nerve damage on my entire right side of my body. Sometimes I have just severe pain in my back from that accident, but I've learned to overcome the challenges from that, and I had to keep pushing forward. And my biggest thing was my siblings. I was because we don't have a history of graduates in my family. My mom dropped out of high school and got her GED at some point, and I don't really know much about my dad in that aspect. I know that he was considered for Yale at some point from older family members, but I'm the first graduate. And my siblings are really proud of that, especially I downplay it, but my brother's no, Kaelana, that's a big deal. You're setting good steps for the rest of us. You're paving the way for the rest of us. And, my brother Jack, he's watching this, I'm sure.
Wow.
And he's all my siblings are a big inspiration. I have awesome siblings, and even if I'm not on good terms with, some of them sometimes, at the end of the day, that's my brother, that's my sister. And I feel if I didn't have the support of my siblings, because when you're in foster care, your siblings are your biggest thing. Even if you get separated from your parents and you get separated from the rest of your family, you have this web of your siblings, you know what I mean? And you feel this deeper connection to your siblings. And I have my best friends are my siblings. I have awesome best friends too. Without my best friend support, I don't know where I'd be, but my siblings are my biggest supporters, my biggest cheerleaders. Like my sister Anique, my brother Jimmy, my brother Jarek, my brother Jack, my little brother Max, my brother Brock. Like they're awesome kids. I love them so much, and like they inspire me every day to be better, to do better, because not just for them, but like just seeing them happy and how accepting they are of me teaches me the love I can give to them, teaches me the love to give other people, the patience to have with other people.
Well, I mean, you are a remarkable inspiration for them and such a good role model for them. I mean, you went to school and college, which is commendable, but you did exceptionally well and faced such adversity and so many barriers. I mean, with your health and even just with your sexual identity and just coming out in 2020, you said?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's a lot. So what did you graduate with a degree in from your undergrad?
Okay, so I got my bachelor's degree in interdisciplinary studies with a focus in communication and social work. And then I got the minor in justice and law.
And I understand that you recently got accepted to graduate school.
Yeah, I have gotten accepted to multiple graduate schools, but now I'm trying to figure out what I want to do. I think I want to do law and policy reform. So it's a big decision to make, but I think I have my eye on Cornell.
Oh my gosh. Boy, we are so proud of you at the Department of Children and Families. You really are an inspiration. And you know, it's what's so important about telling your story and what's so brave about telling your story is that it wasn't easy. You know, you had a lot of challenges and didn't always have support in spaces that you needed that support. And yet you still persevered and you still, you know, became the beautiful young woman you are today. And you really need to be proud of yourself, and I hope that you are. Before we end the show today, and I had so many questions I wanted to ask you, and this went by way too fast, but if you could, if one of the youth is watching our show today, whether it's a DCF foster child or just a child in the community who happens to watch this show, and they're struggling with their sexual identity, and they don't know how to tell somebody about that or how to work through who they are, what would be a message that you would tell that youth?
Be yourself, but only come out if it's safe, especially with the way the world is today. But come out to your chosen family. Chosen family in the LGBTQ community is most important, and love yourself despite what you label yourself as. Love yourself.
Thank you. That was beautiful. I'm so glad that you were on, and you know, one of my questions was to ask you, you know, why did you invite Penny to come on? And I think that you made yourself very clear as to why, you know, she's here as your moral support, and like you said, chosen family. And that's the great thing about life is, you know, we do get born into families, but we can choose who we share ourselves with and who we allow to inspire us and who we want to be better for.
Exactly.
And I think that you have, you know, shown us that and told your story. So I would love to have you come back on the show another time and tell me more about your story and where you go. And I can see you making a huge impact on policy reform and changes in this next level of education that you're pursuing.
Thank you so much.
But congratulations to you.
Thank you so much.
And thank you, Penny. Thank you so much for watching our show today. And now we introduce you to a child who tells their story and about the need for a forever family. Thank you.
It's really important for foster parents to embrace all different type of ethnic or religion differences.
My mom didn't care what color skin I was or where I came from. As long as you can offer child love and you can offer that child respect, that's what they need.
Regardless of your gender, your race, your sexuality, be a foster parent.
It's not what a foster home looks like, it's what a foster home can give us.
Any home is a good home, as long as there's love and support.
If you can provide food and clothes and love for a child, then it's a perfect home.
You could make a difference in that child's life, and they can make a difference in your life.
I have absolutely no idea what my life would have turned out if I didn't end up in the foster care system. The foster parents made that difference.
Welcome, I'm Nick Augustino. I'd like to welcome you to the Clam Box, where we do seafood our way. We got lobster roll, fried clams, fish and chip, fried shrimp, and our famous onion rings. We put a lot of precaution into the safety for you and your family. Not only do we use plexiglass at the cash register and sanitizer, we all wear gloves and we all keep a 6-foot distancing, and everybody must wear a mask. We carry all the options. We got DoorDash, Grubhub, Uber Eats, and of course, we got curbside where we bring it right to your car. Online ordering is available at clamboxnewbritain.com or by calling us at 860-357-3118. The Clam Box, 586 West Main Street, New Britain.